Dave's been up there every day and we'd like to report to you on what's been happening at the vigil. Thanks, Dave. Oh, well, thank you very much. Up at the vigil, we started off, it's a fairly conservative precinct up there. It's the finance sector end of town, and somebody like me turning up with a megaphone every day and speaking every hour on the hour. It was new and it was different for those workers and those communities. By the end of the nearly 3 weeks, we had members of the Melbourne Club coming over agreeing with us. So I think that sort of speaks for itself. I've never had that experience before in my life. You know, we've pulled together a community organisation called Enough for 2 reasons. One, we believe that Australians, ordinary working Australians, have had enough. And on the other hand, we believe we have enough here to make this country work and to make it work for all of our citizens. Because we are citizens of this nation, and what's being pushed at the moment is the minority of shareholders in this country actually have more rights than we as the citizens of this nation do. That's got to be reversed. You know, we kept pointing out a sign up there, the Telstra sign on the building, and if you look at the shadow behind the sign on the wall, it used to say telecom, and we used to own it. And nobody, no government, ever held a conversation with its own people, not on either side of the parliament. Nobody came to us with a referendum, which is the discussion a government holds with its own people, and asked us, did we want our national assets sold? But they went ahead and they sold it. And on sale they made some promises. And one of those promises was that our jobs would be held. And here are some of the workers over here who are still there. We've lost 55,000 jobs out of that telecommunication system. That is a crime against this nation and we, the citizens of it. We should be able to determine the corporations that come to this country and the conditions under which they come. No corporation has the right to act in this country other than in our interests. And yet we are told through legislation now that corporations can act against our interests, we, the people of this nation, in the interests of a small minority of shareholders. And so we have casualisation, where in the 40 percentile, our young people are casual. Never will they borrow to be able to buy a home. We have sham contracting, and Telstra are one of the worst offenders, where they have thousands of people going around with little vans and a bit of conduit on top, and they call them an independent contractor. They've got to be available 7 AM till 7 PM, 7 days a week. What's independent about that? And they call each of them a company director, for God's sake. This is a sham. They all sign the same contract. There's no competition there. And the offshoring, the idea that in India now there are 300 free trade zones being set up and there are no labour rights in them. There are no labour rights in these free trade zones, and it is our corporations who act in our country who are going over there to treat Indian workers in that way. That is why from the beginning Enough has always said what Telstra is doing, what the ANZ Bank is doing, is introducing racism into industrial relations. Because they are bringing out workers from India to train with our workforce. They're putting them, deliberately putting them between us and our jobs. That is racism, and it has to stop. Governments must begin to respond to our needs as citizens. We have to reverse the last 30 years, where our jobs have been offshored, our children have been privatised, their entire future privatised, where the national assets of our country have been sold off without any reference to we the people, with both sides of the parliament supporting it. Enough of this. We've had enough. We know Australians agree with us. We did not move outside of 3 metres square up there, and in 2 weeks we've had some thousands of people sign a petition. Imagine if we had somebody on every intersection in this city We would have millions of people making it very clear by petition to our federal Senate that they want an end to offshoring, that they want to keep what we've got as a bare minimum. We are about to enter the global financial crisis. The GFC is about to hit us. Our economy is built on sand. 80% of our jobs, somebody is selling something to somebody else. You know, waves wash sand away, and when that tsunami of the global financial crisis hits us, probably later this year, then the economy we have, which is built on sand, will wash away. It will disappear overnight. Who is going to buy the services? Ask yourself the question. Our government has a responsibility, and its primary responsibility is to we, the citizens of this nation, and they have to stand up against corporate raiders like Telstra and the banks. Then there's the banks. ANZ, Westpac. They honestly believe they have the rights to sell our jobs overseas. What we say is simple. Don't bank with banks that will not bank on us. Why would we bank with banks that will not bank on Australia, that will not bank on its workers, its children and its grandchildren? We have our own bank. We have an Australian bank. It's owned entirely by our superannuation funds, the ME Bank. We have one message for ANZ, for the Westpac, and for all of you who are listening out there. If you bank with banks that will not bank on us, get out. Don't bank with them, and instead bank with the bank that we, the Australian people, own. We have options in this country. One of the easiest options is to get out of banks that will not bank on our nation. One of the things that Enough is beginning to raise and slowly organise a conversation with our own people about is what we are referring to as common good laws. You've heard about one of them today, the idea of protecting workers' jobs in this country. And to think that Adam and others are going to support us on that is crucial. But there are a number of common good laws, and they involve the way corporations behave in this country. It's time they were held to account. Why is it that unions in this country are not free to determine, in the interest of the members they cover, their rights and entitlements, or whether their job will disappear? Why is it that that is a crime, and yet it is legal for companies to steal the jobs from underneath those workers and our children? That's a crime against this nation, and we need to stand up and make it very clear that Telstra and the ANZ and Westpac, no more, enough of the lies. Stop telling us that casualisation is freedom and flexibility and choice for our young people. It's none of those. Casualisation is a lie. Casualisation means our children have no future. So don't lie to us. Stop telling us that offshoring makes us competitive within the global economy. Offshoring de-skills our economy. It ill-positions us for the global financial crisis. Stop telling us that privatisation is something that we ever agreed to. We never did. And every poll that's ever been taken in the 80th percentile of Australians opposed our national assets being sold in the interest of a minority. We want to talk more about the common good laws in the months and years that lie ahead. But Enough has risen. We're there now for 3 weeks. We are going to recruit, we are going to grow, we are going to come for organisations like Telstra until they get the message that if they want to operate in this country, then they employ in this country. And that is our right as citizens of this nation. If they want to bring other workers out here, then bring them out here in the time-honoured fashion as migrants with full rights, full citizenship rights in this country, and not as second-class citizens on a different visa that makes them second to us. I don't want to live in a land. I don't want to explain to my grandchildren that we've got a group of workers out here who live differently to us. I don't want to live in a land like that, and I will not. I haven't brought my children up that way, and I'm not bringing my grandchildren up that way. They are brought up to believe that everybody who comes here comes with full rights and entitlements. Thank you.